Whenever I was a kid, console exclusivity was pretty much just par of the course. Games either came out for the Nintendo or the Sega, and that was that. And when the PlayStation entered the scene, not really much changed. Every single console had their exclusives, and if you wanted to play their games, then you had to buy their systems. But in the past 15 or so years, that's really changed, and console exclusivity seems to be falling to the wayside. That is, except for one lone holdout, the Nintendo Switch, which still has some pretty great exclusive turn-based RPGs on them, and I want to go over 10 of the best of them here, but first, let's have a word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Rune Factory 3 Special in collaboration with Xseed and Daredrop, which is available now for the Nintendo Switch and PC via Steam. Here, you bridge the divide of an ancient schism between humans and monsters as a half-human, half-woolly protagonist, Micah. Farm, fight, and fall in love as you revisit a classic in the series that perfected the blend of an RPG and life sim genres. Settle down in an idyllic fantasy town as a young adventurer with a monstrous secret in Rune Factory 3 Special, remastered now for a new generation. So, if you're as excited about this as I am, please be sure to use the link located in the video description and pinned comment to get your own awesome Golden Memories Collector's Edition. And now with that, let's get on with the top 10 best Nintendo Switch JRPGs. Number 10, the Super Mario RPG Remake. We're going to start off this list with two games that aren't yet released but are coming out really soon, and I personally would be remiss to leave them off of this top 10 since this list should be a reference for many years to come. I love the original game back on the SNES. It was my favorite Mario RPG of all time, and now I get to revisit the Mushroom Kingdom as an adult rather than as an awkward 14-year-old. Now, I will admit that I have played the game multiple times over the past 25 years or so, because I really just loved all the different worlds, the areas, the extremely unique towns, the dungeons, all those hidden secrets and boxes, and all the fun, humorous, uplifting dialogue. There's really just something to be said whenever the classics get remade for the modern era, along with some modern quality of life features. I mean, who could possibly complain about this? Number 9, Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. It has been far too long since we've gotten a proper entry into the Dragon Quest Monsters series. And yes, this one is coming out in December, so you do have a ways to wait for the full game, but you can go ahead and pre-order it now, and the demo itself, that might as well be its own frickin' game. It's so long, you could put like 20 hours into it and still not be done. It's ridiculous. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. So believe me, when the full game comes out, that is going to be like my go-to game to play on long trips, because it is just such a nice, relaxing grind. There's just something to be said for just kind of like vegging out as you explore all the echelons of Naderia, capturing monsters, synthesizing them, and then curb stomping over in the arena. And hey y'all, if you're liking this, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for some more great content. And now with that, number 8, Baten Kaitos Remastered Collection. Here we've got two great games in one. Originally released for the Nintendo GameCube, now they've been remastered in HD with added quality of life improvements, such as the ability to turn off encounters, skip cutscenes, increase the battle and game speed, and pretty much just like whack whatever mobs you come across. These are super hidden gems set in a world floating above the Lost Ocean, where objects and essences have been sealed into cards, and then you can use those cards in battle. Interestingly though, you don't really control your characters. You play instead as a guardian spirit, and you just kind of like guide them along. So even though you might think that you're making all the decisions, you're really not. You're just kind of like a fly on the wall, watching all the actions, the twists, and the turns. Number 7, Octopath Traveler. While the sequel was simultaneously released for multiple systems, the first still remains ever faithful to the Nintendo Switch. This game needs no introduction, as it single-handedly ushered in the HD 2D craze, as well as that whole retro remaster craze, which I just adore. Here you can choose to follow the paths of 8 separate heroes, each complete with their own powers and storylines, and set in a gorgeous environment with turn-based battles. The world is open, and you can explore it at your leisure, recruiting whichever characters you would like, and going in whichever order you would like. Each town and area is wholly unique, very inviting, and they just draw you into the vast world. The graphics are stunning, and it showcased to the world that old school gaming is not dead. It can thrive and flourish here in the modern age. Number 6. Bravely Default 2. It really doesn't take a lot to make me happy. Give me a simple but captivating storyline that I don't have to reference an encyclopedia to understand. A beautiful open world map to explore, a set of characters to control and outfit the way that I desire, and a fun combat system, and I'm just set. And thankfully, this game has all of that in spades. This is an unabashed throwback to simpler times, complete with that world map, challenging turn-based combat, and not too much story to bog you down with either. The crystals have come back with a vengeance, and it's up to you to travel to the 4 regions of the world to restore the crystal's power, fight the evil asterisks holding the job classes, and bring peace back to the land. Let's hope that this one sold enough to get a Bravely Default 3, or even maybe a Bravely collection of those games still stuck on the DS and the 3DS. Number 5. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. When Nintendo abandoned the handhelds and instead opted to just have the Switch, Pokemon was kind of left in the lurch. And rather than just stagnating or vanishing, it really grew and evolved and changed into something that I actually thoroughly enjoy now. With a much more open world, different towns and gyms to explore in whatever order you want, and just having a fun, enjoyable experience rather than a collect-them-all grindfest hallway simulator like they used to be. These newer games really are so much fun and joyous. And now, there's some added DLC, which also might as well be an entirely new game in and of itself, because just as you get 2 different Pokemons, here you get 2 different DLCs, both of which are about 20 hours long, so this definitely gives you plenty of bang for your buck. Number 4. Fire Emblem Three Houses and Fire Emblem Engage. I gave y'all 2 games with Bat and Kaitos, as well as Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, because, I always like to give you a little bit extra in these lists. And here, I'm giving you 2 great games as well. Fire Emblem Engage is a love letter to longtime fans of the series, featuring very traditional gameplay, along with the ability to play as the heroes of past games. Three Houses, though, is a whole other beast, blending Persona-type gameplay with traditional Fire Emblem gameplay. Here you can choose of one of 3 heroes, and you'll lead their house and get to know their student body. You'll train them, bond with them, chat with them, and maybe even grow to fall in love with them. Whatever gameplay style that you like, Fire Emblem has a game for you. Number 3. Triangle Strategy. This is just like Final Fantasy Tactics, but done for the modern age, with fast forwarding, cutscene skips, tons of different characters, no generic units, and no permadeath, along with those gorgeous HD 2D graphics. And there are many points where the story branches out, with some chapters featuring as many as 4 different possible outcomes. Depending on who you choose to support, you'll be sent off to different regions, recruit different characters, and even get different endings. And it also features 30 different characters, some mandatory but most optional. The combat is compelling, as every character brings their own strengths, and none of them are useless or overpowered. And boy oh boy, the replay value is just off the charts. Number 2. Shin Megami Tensei 5. I've always kind of had a love-hate relationship with this series because I wasn't introduced to it until the PS2 era, and then my nostalgia goggles were definitely removed. And I loved Nocturne, and I loved Digital Devil Saga, but the Personas, they weren't really my cup of tea. I just preferred the simple, straightforward story, the focus on combat and exploration of the mainline series, so I was thrilled whenever this came out for the Switch. And while it can be notoriously difficult, it's really not so bad if you keep up with your demons, recruiting, fusing, and evolving them appropriately. Slow and steady wins the race here as you make your way further out into the post-apocalyptic landscape. Each region is super complex, filled with tons of secrets. You could spend hundreds of hours exploring and still not find everything. If anybody ever says that the Switch is underpowered, just point them in Shin Megami Tensei 5's direction. And number 1, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This absolute gem delivered on the hype and exceeded expectations. 3 takes all the great features of the first game, drops some of the questionable inclusions from the second game, adds in some quality of life features, and tells a gripping storyline involving countries locked in a never-ending war with characters who all face an inevitable death. Everyone is likable, relatable, and endearing, with hardly any annoying anime tropes, and more importantly, the world is just massive, rife with hidden nooks and crannies to explore. The combat takes everything that worked in the previous entries, builds upon them, and then also introduces some new mechanics that make it the most fun out of the entire series. And recently, we got some absolutely ass-kicking DLC for it too, bringing in an already like 100-hour plus game just into the stratosphere. This easily tops the list whenever you recommend RPGs to any Switch owner. So that's it for the top 10 best Nintendo Switch exclusive JRPGs. But even so, I still have some more honorable mentions, such as pretty much, just the rest of the Xenoblade series, the upcoming Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door remake, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Dragon Quest Treasures, The Collection of Mana, Legend of Mana, the Chrono Cross remake, and Live Alive HD 2D Remastered if you like that one. So, there really are just a ton of great RPGs for this system out there, but what are your favorites? Let's get a discussion going on here and let's all talk and chat about it, because I'm always in the comments too. And if you like what I do on the channel, please head on over to the Patreon to sign up for early access to my videos, as well as behind the scenes photographs. The link to it is over in the video description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.